All right, thank you all for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Dina, do you want to record? Oh, I can't I can't hear you. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't hear Dina.
Oh, yeah, Dina, we can't hear you. Okay. I think she said she's going to hop out and then back in. I'm going to wait for her to join because I think she'll be recording the session, so we'll wait a minute.
Okay, perfect. Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Woohoo! Okay, perfect.
All right.
Yes, and then I said yes, I am recording. So
Oh, you already are recording. Oh, okay, I
yes,
didn't
I am.
know. Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
So I know if you could hear me, we would have been good to go. So yes, so we are good to go.
Okay, awesome. Great. All right. Well, thank you for joining today. This is Smartsheet 201, Visualize Work with Dashboards and Reports. Oh, I forgot the S there. Sorry. Dashboards and Reports. So we're really going to be diving into dashboards more than anything because reports are um, a small part of, the what you can do on dashboards. It is important to know how to use a report, but we're really going to be focusing a lot on dashboards today. All right, so we'll do brief introductions. I'm Jillian Chavez. I'm a program specialist with finance and administration. Dina?
Eh, Yeah, and I'm Dina Duran, and ooh, I almost knocked my coffee cup off the table. Ooh, okay. I'm a senior business analyst with HSC Finance and Administration. For today, I am going to be kind of the quiet co-host in the background that will be monitoring the chat. So feel free to throw questions in the chat, and then as it's appropriate, I'll kind of interject those questions or answer them directly in the chat. But Jillian will be leading the training itself.
Yes, thank you, Dina. All right. Okay, so we're really going to be getting right into a solution demonstration, but I do like to add this. Most of you are familiar with our single sign-on page that has a lot of resources on there, but this is just the Smartsheet plan in general. I like to let people know that we have these available to us. We do hope to host trainings on these in the future. We've already hosted a dynamic view training, but we do really hope to get into calendar app and data shuttle, data mesh, pivot app. We have work apps, live trainings available to us, and control center. You can get to some of these resources on our single sign-on page. That's why I mentioned that. Because if you go to smartsheet.health.unm.edu, which is our single sign-on page, before you log in, a dashboard pops up, has a bunch of resources to all of this information. I do like to let everyone know because some people don't know this is available to us. So I do try to spread that knowledge whenever I can. So just keep that in mind. I think we're going to be jumping right into the solution demonstration and what this all looks like in Smartsheet. So let me go ahead and pull this up and then I will get right back into sharing. Oh, okay. All right, are you guys seeing my Smartsheet page? And does it look okay? It's not
Yes.
too small or anything?
Yes, so we can see it, your dashboard's data sheet.
Okay, perfect. All right, so this is a fake project sheet that I have here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and build a report on this. Like I said, reports is going to be a small part of this training, but I of course I want to go over it because you can really utilize reports for a lot of different reasons. So I have a workspace here, and in this workspace, you can see I already have my dashboard built, but we'll go into that. Um, and then I have my data sheet. This is just a grid. This is, I have, actually, I should title this project name. I have my project, I have an ID in here, start date, end date, the status, project manager, and an estimated amount. So, what I want to do is I want to build a report because I want to be able to put that report on a dashboard later. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to add over here and I'm going to go to report. And you can see that when I hover over report, it goes to row report and it says uses data from sheets or sheet summary report, which uses sheet summary fields. So I'm going to go back into my grid here. So this is just my regular row, would be a regular row report. This is the data that it would be pulling from. For the sake of this training, I do have a little bit of information in my sheet summary. So if you look at this right-hand toolbar here, you can see a little bit further than midway down, you'll see summary. This is just a space where you can really summarize the data within your sheet. So if you want just like quick summary fields, you can put metrics from this onto a dashboard, which we can maybe do later. But this is what it would be pulling from if we selected sheet summary report. So just keep that in mind when building your report. Sometimes I even click on sheet summary report and then it's not pulling any of my data in, and then I'm confused why it's not working. So yeah, it'll be pulling either from your sheet summary or from your main sheet. So I'm going to go into add, I'm going to go into report, and then I'm going to go into row report.
Hey, Julian.
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can we, if we have time, spend a little bit more time on how to use that sheet summary?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, do you have any specific questions about it? Because really, I can toggle back here now and show you. It's kind of like a mini sheet within the sheet. All you do here is so you can add a new field and you're kind of it's kind of the same as the report. So I can just add these fields into my sheet summary. So all I did here was I went to new field and I knew I wanted to do an amount, so I just left it as text number, and so I'll just do this again here. And then it just kind of acts as like it would in a column. So what I did was I put equal sum, and then I came over here and we wanted to kind of total these. So then it kind of just works the same. And then you have a little bit of settings here. So it recognizes that, you know, I put in a formula there. That's why it has that. But if I kind of hover over it, I can click on these three little dots and then you can see I have a little bit of customization. I mean, ability to kind of move things around, change the formatting, things like that. So
yeah,
for this, I went and, you know, did dollar and that sort of thing.
sure. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I have a specific example. So in the sheet summary, can you like I built one where we have a variance to target, say with the staffing for staffing requests, like on any given day, how many are you budgeted for? And on that day that you're requesting staff, how many are going to be there? And then what is the variance to target? So like if you have 3 out of 5 on that day, it's going to give you a 60% or 40% vacancy, right? Can you do something like that in the sheet summary, or is that
Yeah,
possible?
I mean, I think that you might want to do that in like if a report might work better for that, but I mean, really you can build that out in a sheet summary, but you would be building a formula for that. So you would probably be
Yeah.
doing like, I don't know what you would be pulling from exactly, like if you would be counting, like it would be like a count if this is the project manager and if it's within this state range and if it's this. So you might be building out kind of a long formula for that,
Okay.
but you can do that. So anything that you could really do within the columns or like the cells in your sheet, you can probably do in the sheet summary. There are some limitations, kind of like you know, you can't pull the sheet summary data into like a chart on your dashboard. But really, if you wanted to build those formulas out to pull that information, you could, but it would be a formula.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just trying to brainstorm on how to give end users like a quick glance of, the most important details. And one of those includes like some kind of formula or algorithm. So,
Yeah, it would probably be a formula if you were using the sheet summary. But
okay.
you could list out as many fields as you want. You know, you could count if it's the project manager or, and then kind of put all of those different things in the sheet summary. If you kind of wanted just everybody to work within the sheet and nothing else. But I think that a report could be helpful for that too, maybe. And then if not a report, you might want to throw all that data onto a dashboard. So, you know, we could kind of, as we're like going through the report and the dashboard information, maybe that'll kind of give you more of an idea of how you would want to present that information.
And
Thank you.
and I'm sure that Jillian's going to get to it, but I know that a lot of times on my dashboards, I will include a metrics widget, and you can use a sheet summary field as your metrics widget, because you can't use it for charts, but you can for the metrics. So sometimes that's nice when if you do have a formula that you're like, I want this answer, if you could just show me, and it'll update right as you get more information, and put that onto a dashboard. So we'll be sure to kind of look at that widget when we go through.
Thank you both.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. So I created my report here, and then the first thing that you have to do is collect your source sheets for your report. So I'm going to go down to my workspace. You can see that this is my workspace. I'm not going to click the whole workspace. I don't have multiple sheets or anything in here, but I want to select the exact sheet that I'm using because you can select multiple sheets to pull onto a report. So let's say you had like a fiscal year 21, 22, 23, 24, or whatever, you had different sheets for each fiscal year and you wanted to pull them into one big master report. You could do that in reports. So I would just come in here and I would click through all the different sheets, right? But we're not going to do that in this demonstration, but just keep in mind that you can do that. So in this one, I'm just pulling from my dashboards data sheet, and then I'm going to go ahead and click next. And it's going to ask me what columns do I want displayed on this report. So this can really be a filtered view of my main sheet. So let's say, so I don't really want the sheet name in here. That could be helpful if you are pulling from multiple sheets. So then there's this hyperlink that will take you to those sheets. So, if you have, someone that needs to come in here and easily go in between those, that could be helpful. In this case, I don't want that. So you can see it pulled in my primary column and it defaults back to the primary name there. So I will go in there and change that. But I'm going to put in my project ID. I'm going to pull in the start date, end date, and let's see. I'm going to pretty much pull in everything. The reason why I want this in a report anyway is so I can put it on a dashboard. And you can't really put your sheets on dashboards unless you publish them, which isn't something that we usually do. So this is going to look a lot like my main sheet, but that's okay because I know that I can only put a report on a dashboard, and we'll see that a little bit later. So I'm going to go into, let's see, Project Manager 2. I don't want created, modified by, and sheet name. I don't want any of that. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to click out of that for a minute and we'll go back in because I want to come in here and like I said, it kind of defaults back. I'm going to put project name, but let's say I want to hide my project name because I have a project ID here. Let's say I don't really want to show that on my report because let's say I don't want people to know the exact project it is. Maybe I only want them to see the ID number. They should know what it is by the ID number. So I hid my project name, but I do still have start date, end date. I have whether it's whatever status it's in, and I have my project manager. I do want my amount in here too. I forgot to add that in. So I went back into columns and just added that in. Everything is always customizable. It's never set in stone. So I went ahead and added that back in, and I'm going to go into filter criteria here. Let's say I only want to pull up anything that has maybe is in a started status. Let's say I wanted to do that for this particular report. So I'm going to go ahead and go is equal to, not is equal to, sorry, is one of, and then I'm going to go to select column options. It's going to show these are all my statuses in my drop down. So I'm going to go ahead and click is started. And you can see it shows that there's 8 of them that have been started. So you can see that this will filter for me. And the good thing about reports is it's always live data. So anything that changes within my data sheet is going to automatically show on my report. So it's not kind of like when you're, running a report, it's an Excel doc, and then immediately you have stale data. It's always going to be live data. So I'm gonna, for the sake of this presentation, I think I'm gonna take off this. I'm gonna delete this condition for now because I want to show you what grouping and summarizing does. So let's go into grouping. I'm gonna group by the status, just to kind of show you what that looks like when we break it into the report. So if I want to group by status, you can see it's showing me all of the canceled here, all of the not started, on hold, and then the started down here. So it groups it a little bit better. And then I don't know how this will look. I don't know if I have enough data in here for it to look nice, but I can also group it by the project manager. So if we wanted to break it out even further, we can add multiple grouping. So you can see it's showing my canceled, it's showing Dina's not started, my not started, and then, so on. So you can group it however you would like there. And then I'm going to go into, let's see what this looks like. I might want to move it around a little bit. I might want to play with it a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and summarize. And I'm going to summarize by the project estimated amount. So I don't want to do a count. I want to do a sum. So I'm going to just click OK. And then we can see there's kind of a lot of numbers on here because of my grouping. So maybe I want to take out the project manager grouping. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. So we can see that there's like a total sum up here for my project estimated amount. And then here's what has been canceled. This is the amount that's been canceled. This is what I have in my not started. And then this is what I have in my on hold, and then the started. This is my amounts for everything here. So I'm going to go ahead and rename my report. So reports are nice for multiple different reasons. One of them, which I said already, which is that we can embed this onto a Smartsheet dashboard, and we don't have to publish it or anything like that. We can just add it onto our dashboard. You can also share with people just as you do other Smartsheet items. So if you have, a group of 5 people, that you just want it to be shared to them. You want them to be able to come in here whenever they want just to look at this specific report. You can do that. Dina, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if there's been an update on this lately, but you do have to be shared to the underlying sheet to be able to view the report data. And do you know that to still be true, Dina? I think that's what I've heard last.
So if you are looking at the report itself, then yes, that's true. However, if you are viewing it either with a published link or viewing it on the dashboard with certain settings, then you could see it. So
Yeah.
yeah, when we put it on the dashboard, you just have to adjust like the last viewer setting. So when we kind of get to that part, we can touch on that. But otherwise, yeah, if you are sharing this report with someone, um, if you're just kind of sharing that link, and let's say you share the report with them, they still can't see the data in it. It's going to show up blank for them unless you share the underlying sheet. So the best method would be to put it on a dashboard or to publish it.
Yeah, that's what I usually advise. But if you do just have a report and you don't need other dashboard data, um, and maybe you don't want to share them to the underlying sheet because maybe you have a lot of different departments in that, maybe it's a big master sheet or something. What you could do is you could go to File and you could go to Send as Attachment. So this is where, some of the benefits, you lose some of the benefits of the report because then again, it is stale data as soon as it gets sent out. But maybe this is something where you say send as an attachment, and you could send it, you could see here, you could send as a PDF or as a Microsoft Excel doc, and you can schedule it. So maybe you want to send it on a reoccurring basis. So maybe you like the way this report looks, you don't need extra bells and whistles to it, you just want them to get the report. You could do it, you could send it once, you could send it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. So you can send it at whatever frequency you want. And again, that will go as a PDF or an Excel doc. So again, that's not, that's going to be the most up-to-date data on that day that it sends out. And let's see, let's go ahead and go back in here. So does anyone, so it really is. I don't know, Dina, if you feel like I missed anything. This is the basics of a report. This is the customization that you have available to you. Um, and those are the main aspects. I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on, Dina.
I was just gonna add a little thing, the send as attachment feature. Um, I like to use that either when sending to leadership or when I know that I need someone to view it and either they don't have access to the underlying sheet or they're they're kind of stuck in Excel and they're maybe not wanting to see things in Smartsheet because sometimes they don't. So if I go and send it as an attachment, I can select a PDF or an Excel file, and then so they could get the information. I'm happy because I have it organized in Smartsheet the way I like it. And they could be happy too. And it works really great, especially if you're like, hey, automatically you get that weekly update. Um, Otherwise, when I can, I prefer to share people with the live report, maybe embedded on the dashboard, just so that way I'm like, hey, whenever you want to see the data, click on the link. You'll have the most up-to-date data that we have at that point. So it just kind of depends on people's preferences.
So
Yeah.
my question is, if you do that, because I thought you said that you had to send the underlined sheet.
Uh,
No,
if you're sending as an attachment, then you don't need to.
Okay, perfect.
yeah, that's kind of like the workaround, but again, it does lose its benefit because then it's just the most current data on that day. You know, the benefit of a live report is if I'm working on the back end, it'll show automatically. So if you do send as an attachment, you do not need to share them to the underlying sheet, but it is sending as a PDF or Excel doc.
And that's static. When it sends, it's that
Exactly.
one point in time. So that if they want to update, you have to send a refreshed
Yes, yeah,
attachment. Okay.
exactly. Yes.
But if you share the report to them, they would be able to go back in whenever. Is
Yeah,
that
and
correct?
really, so if there's no, sensitive, I don't want to say sensitive, but
Yeah.
like say there's data you don't want them to see on the back end, if that's not the case, you can just share them as a viewer to your main sheet. So they can't mess with your sheet, right? They can't do anything.
Mhm.
They'll technically have access to it, but they can't do anything. And then you could share them to the report and they can view that live data. So you don't have to give them, editor permissions, admin permissions to be able to view this. They can have viewer access on the main sheet and on this report. And they don't even really need to know that they have access on the main sheet. You can give them access and not notify them. So, whenever you go to share, you do have the option to, let's see, you have the option to notify people or not notify them. Sometimes if I know I'm sharing a report, but I have to share the sheet too, I just won't notify them. They'll never get the notification, and unless they're playing around in Smartsheet, they don't really know they have access to that. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I could tell you right now, I have so much stuff in Smartsheet that if I don't get notified about that, I'm never going to realize that I have access to it. Um, but some people who, just have a few sheets, maybe they'll notice because it will pop up. And Jillian, can you just show people how to publish a report again?
Yeah, yeah. So this right hand toolbar again, you'll see that you have like conversations, attachments, proofs, activity log, and then publish is right here. And then whenever I toggle this on, you can see I have a few different options. So available to anyone with the link, users within the same Smartsheet plan, available to users who are shared to the item. So I can change this and it will change, the information. So you have the publish link and then you have the embed code. So if you did want to go embed this onto like your, UNM website or something, you do have an embed code for that. And that's the same for most Smartsheet items really. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's see, I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna turn that off because I don't need that. And then we'll hop over. If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and go into dashboards. All right. So as you can see, I didn't build out the dashboard. I just already clicked add and then I clicked dashboard right here and then I titled it. So whenever you create a new dashboard, it's going to be blank like this. And there's this little getting started video if you want to do that. But we're going to go ahead and talk through some stuff. So where you'll probably go first is this edit dashboard icon here. And then you have a few different settings. So you have dashboard theme, and you have add widgets, and then you have widget settings. So I'm going to go to dashboard themes. So you can see here, there's a few different themes that we have available to us. Dina created this lovely HSC theme here. So if you aren't on our Teams page and you do want access to this, we can probably send it, right, Dina? Send it over to you if you reach out to us. Sorry, Dina, I can't hear you again. I don't know what's going on. I think we could send it to you because really you just download it, and then you could see right here where it says add new. It says create new theme. You can create your own theme, or you could import it, which I did. It's just a file, you import it. Dina created it. She shared it with all of us, so we didn't have to do all the work, which is really nice because this has all the UNM colors and branding and that sort of stuff. But we do have some other cool themes here. I like to use some of these. If it's more of an internal dashboard that I know it's not that big of a deal, if I don't use, it's not going to be posted anywhere outside maybe the group, I'll just use these because I think that they're fun. But the HSC one is really great if you have to follow the brand guidelines. And yeah, Dina, sorry, we couldn't hear you. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, still not. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm probably gonna use this theme. We'll be able to see that more whenever we actually go into and we start creating and adding our widgets. But this is really nice. This didn't always used to be here, and it's nice to not have to pick your own colors and wonder what looks nice. You definitely can do that, but it's nice to have these themes available to us. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and go to add widgets. One of the first things that I usually do, you definitely do not have to do this, but one of the first things that I usually do is I go to image. You can see here, there's title, report, image, metric, chart, shortcut, rich text, web content. I'm going to go over all of these, but I usually go in image first because I like to add our logo in. So I'm going to go ahead and go to select image. You have a few different options here, OneDrive, Dropbox, Box, Google Drive. I'm going to do upload from computer. It's probably not going to show this part, but I'm just looking for my logo here. All right. Okay, so I just grabbed my logo. I'm probably going to play with it a little bit. See, okay, so that doesn't look good. Fit is probably the one. I don't really want actual size, I don't think. Margin, no margin. Okay, so you have a little bit of customization here. I'm just going to go ahead and, make it about that size. I think that looks fine. I could add a title. I don't think I'd really want to add a title on my logo, but, maybe if it was a different picture, I might want to utilize that. But in this case, I'm just going to toggle that back off. So I have widget behavior. So pretty much all of the widgets have widget behavior. And right now it says take no action when someone clicks this widget. But maybe I want it to open another site. Maybe I want it to, open the brand.unm.edu. So now this is clickable, so you can see when I hover over it wants to click, and then it's gonna go ahead and then it's going to open. The brand guidelines website, because that's the URL that I gave it. All right, so that is kind of that's the image widget there. Pretty straightforward. You can use it for other decorative images too. So maybe I want to put something like, I don't know, we have a nice little, I don't know. Oh, only image. Oh shoot, I didn't pay attention to that whenever I was trying to upload that. I don't know if I have another decorative image that I could put in right now, but we'll go back to images if necessary. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a title, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a title that you would want on your dashboard. So I'm going to put Smartsheet 201 dashboards and reports. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. Let's see, maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger. let's see what it is like at its biggest there. You have a little bit of options for font. I don't always mess with this. We don't have too many options available to us. You can see here it's pulling in that teal color right away because Dina did create that theme. It's pulling in that already for us. So that's really nice. I'm gonna go ahead, and another thing that you can do with the title widget is you can use it kind of as a border. So I can do something like this, and I can, I don't know if, let me see. I might have to do some stuff. Dina, did you figure out your mute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back. Okay. I don't remember. Sorry,
Oh,
this is
now I
my
lost you.
fault.
Now I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I heard you a second ago until I unmuted myself.
Can everybody else hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Oh, okay.
Hmm,
Oh,
I don't know.
good. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and so you can see in my theme, there's all these different colors here. I'm gonna go ahead and just turn this into just a border here. Dina, do you have to, I'm sorry, I don't remember if I still have to do this. Let me see, maybe I'll just kind of see what it looks like. Oh, I don't.
Yeah, for
You used to have to put some type of text in there. You don't have to do that anymore.
yeah, so you don't need to anymore. And then it does need to be at least like 2 grid widths tall. Um, just as a minimum. But yeah, I mean I use that as uh, kind of separators all the time.
Awesome. Yes, which is it's a great use of the title widget there to make your dashboard look a little bit nicer. So that is really nice. All right. And now we're gonna go ahead and go into another widget. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into my rich text widget. This just allows you to put text in here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull in some information that I have here under the, since we're talking about branding, we're gonna make this about branding a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and put, why is branding important? And we're gonna go ahead and add this in. Let's make it not quite that big, but maybe 16. I'm going to take this out, and I do want a title on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and put that here. I can highlight my title and make that a little bigger too. All right, and then you have a little bit of customization again. I do wish that dashboards have had more customization. We have way more than we used to, but still kind of what you see is what you get with the dashboards. So I'm gonna go ahead and bold this, and then this one. Let's see. All right, and then also within the rich text widget here, if I also wanted to put a link somewhere, you do have that option here. So maybe I needed to put some information about a training or something. Uh, uh, let's say for brand. Oop. You can do that, and I can, again, we're gonna put the brand stuff everywhere. All right, and then that is now hyperlinked. Dana, I'm gonna refer to you back to you again. Do you sometimes it shows as blue and sometimes I have to go in there and change it. Do you know why it does that?
What I have found is that it seems, for the most part, it seems like if I change the font color, then it'll say, "Oh, then you don't want the blue after all." Um,
Yeah.
so uh, I and I'm not exactly positive that that's why, but I do recommend whether it's because you can also make titles. You can't put a hyperlink within a title, but you can make the entire title widget a link that goes somewhere. So, you
Yeah.
know, almost the same thing. But if you do, whether it's, you know, in your rich text or if it's title, I do recommend to underline it because like, you know, everyone has kind of had this web etiquette knowing that typically links are underlined. Um, you know, and things like that. So it's nice when you have the blue font, which sometimes I'll manually change, and it's nice when it's underlined because otherwise people don't realize that if they click it, it's a link. So just
Yeah.
my little advice on reasons to kind of customize it, um, to make sure you're adjusting for your audience.
Yeah, thank you, Dina. I thought that it was gonna pull up with the automatic blue font, and it could be because I messed with it a little bit, and I also copied and pasted this in, so it could be that that's the reason. But this really is just, you know, how we go about building dashboards. This is the same stuff I would run into when building it, so it's kind of a good example anyway to show that if you do create a hyperlink and it does not give that formatting, it is good to make it blue, make it underlined. You know, you don't have to make it blue, I guess, but I think, like Dina said, that is a little bit of the web etiquette that we're all used to. Underline it, make it blue, and you know, sometimes you have
Did
to go back.
anybody else lost audio or is it just me?
Oh,
I was able to hear, but and
Uh,
anyone else
Oh,
having difficulties?
it's 1650. It's our, sorry, Jillian.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
No,
So,
I know 1650 has a lot of issues at times.
yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go into another widget. So let's see what I want to add now. I'm going to go into metric, and let's go ahead and we'll add data, and all of my sheets are going to pop up here. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to my sheet. And up here you can see it says grid data and then sheet summary data. I'm going to go ahead and add a metric for my sheet summary data, just because I already have those totals, you know, in there for that. So I'm going to go ahead and put my amount in here. And then you can see that you can do side by side or you could do stacked. I kind of like to do stacked. That's just kind of a personal preference. I'm gonna take out the title because I don't really like the way that looks. So I'm gonna go in here and make it a little bit bigger, maybe even bigger than that. Let's see. And then I'm gonna change this wording. This pulled right in from my column name, but to be a little bit more specific, I'm gonna change it to project amount total. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna leave that there for now. So this metric is nice because it is a live metric. So anything that changes in my sheet is gonna change this metric on my dashboard. So as new projects come in into my main sheet, the amount is gonna update here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna pull in, let's see if it'll just, oh man, it's gonna make me go back. That's all right. I'm going to go back into that sheet so I can also pull in the count for my projects, my count of projects here. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll make this bigger. And I'm going to remove the title.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say a little tip and trick that I'll do is sometimes if I'm doing one widget and I know I want to pull in multiple metrics, um, a lot of times I'll select both of them at the same time. And but if I want them separate like this, because there's a lot of times where I like it separate like this, um, I'll just go and add the one and then duplicate it and then delete out kind of the extra one. So that saves me time. And something I had learned it was my first time going to Engage. Someone had done a lesson on dashboards that I tried out, and a little tip or trick that they had to make your dashboards really stand out was instead of having the title there, like the project amount total and the count of projects, what they did was they used title widgets because then they can make it colorful. So it kind of depends on your data because for something like this, we may not need a lot of bling and and that stuff. But sometimes if you want it to be very eye-catching, um, you can use a title widget, which is a neat idea that I hadn't thought about before. So I've done it before where I have a dashboard that is looking at metrics across different organizations. So kind of HSE, medical group, hospital. And so throughout the dashboard, I kind of assign each group one different color. And then each time I'm referring to that group, I'm using that particular color. So if it's like one of our branding colors is called green chili. So maybe green chili is for cancer center, I think, on that sheet. So anytime I'm referring to cancer center specifically, I'm using that green chili color. Um, if I if I'm talking about like one of the other colors is terra, like terracotta. Um, and so maybe if that's my UNMH color, I use that color recurring anytime I'm referring to those UNMH metrics. So, the what I like about this topic that Jillian is making this board on is that you can use the UNM branding to also help tell your story. So you can use those different colors as different themes throughout there. And you'll see that all those colors are already imported with that file. And so even if you don't know the names, you're fine. But at least they're on there, and it really helps you to kind of see all these different things, use the HSC branding kind of to your advantage. So um
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
some just kind of different fun advice.
Yes, yes, definitely. Because there's a lot of workarounds to kind of make your dashboard look nice. And so that's great advice there. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into another widget. I'm going to do a chart widget. And I'm going to hope that this pulls my data in properly. So I'm going to try to point this at my report, and I'm going to see what's going to happen here. And we're going to play around with it a little bit because this is just how it goes. This is how it goes when you're building, dashboard. So I'm gonna point it at my report, and let's see here. Okay. All right, so it's gonna point at my report. I'm gonna see what that looks like when I add it in. It might look a little crazy. We're gonna see. So we can see I have it looking like this on the back end. Let's see. Okay, so that's not too bad. It's just kind of showing the project estimated amount here on the end, which I might not want. One of the things I use often is switching rows and columns. I don't know if that's gonna look like, what is that gonna look like? I like that better. So I'm gonna do that. And then we'll go ahead and look into our chart options here. Oh, I guess why is it doing that? Just a second. Okay. Okay, and then when you double click into your widget, it'll bring up these editing options. Okay, so you could see here that my data source is here. It automatically toggles on these. So it says use column names as category labels. I can take that off if I want to. I don't want to. It did kind of what I wanted it to do there. So that looks fine with me. Use first column as series labels. I want it to do that. So that's fine too. And then you can see here we have different chart types. Maybe I want a pie chart. I don't know, that might be something, it's going to be based on the project or whatever you're trying to display, right? So some charts will work, some won't, line chart wouldn't really work here. So I'm going to go, you have different bar chart options, again, stacked bar doesn't really make sense here. Maybe, yeah, probably not. So I'm gonna go where? Oh, there we go, columns. So I'm gonna go back to this, and I'm gonna go down to title. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just, I can leave the title in here. I can change it. Again, you have a little bit of title styling. You could see horizontal axis. We have a little bit of customization here. You have the title, you have title styling. We could show the tick marks, which I think shows kind of lightly. Maybe it's not showing very much on the horizontal. maybe it would be more here. Why is it not showing? Oh yeah, it is showing. It's just very light. So it's probably hard to see. So you could scale to data values. I don't think it's really going to show much of a difference here, but sometimes it does depending on the data that you have. That is an option there. Okay, so I have my series here, always show value label. I can do that. That's nice, I think, for this. So I'll go ahead and leave that applied to all series. I could just do the started, I think, or oh, it's gonna be specifically the color is what that's doing. Okay. And then I can go to the legend options here, which right now it's to the right. I can move it to the bottom if I like that better. You have some customization there. I can also do no legend if I feel like I don't need it. In this case, I'm just gonna go ahead and put it at the bottom. Okay, so then you have viewer mode here. So from whose perspective should people see these report results? Last widget editor, and then their own perspective. So I've never actually used this, Dina. I don't know. Have you used this much?
Maybe not a ton on the chart, but
Yeah.
ideally something that would be neat on the chart is that, well, I don't know if it would work that way, but my understanding is that if you were to change the viewer mode on a chart and have it to be from their own perspective, if someone doesn't have access to the underlying data, then the chart won't show.
Oh, okay.
So I think that would be the difference, which is that might be what it says if we were to click on what's the
Yeah.
difference.
Everyone gets the same information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that that is definitely the case for reports. So when
Yeah,
I had mentioned, yeah, so earlier I had mentioned that if you're wanting to share a report and if someone doesn't have access to the underlying data, then one of the options is to put it on a dashboard. So you would want it to be the last widget editor. If you're editing it, you have access, you want to do it that way. And that's the default. So that means you shouldn't really need to change anything. And that's even why, Jillian, you probably haven't played around with it too much, is because
Don't
the
usually change
yeah,
it.
the default is usually kind of where you want to be.
Yes, that makes sense. All right, and then back over to widget behavior. So maybe we want to open a Smartsheet item with this. Maybe we want to take them to that report. So actually, I didn't need to open the sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to my workspace, and I want the report to open. Whenever someone clicks this, I want it to open. And again, that'll only, if someone doesn't have access to that, then it's going to tell them you don't have access to view this item. So just keep that in mind when building. So I'm going to go ahead and save that there. I'm going to go back into edit. I'm going to put in, let's do some shortcuts. So I'm going to go ahead and put add shortcut. I'm going to do a website. I'm actually going to go back to that. So you can see there's website, you have attachment, but attachment, what you need to keep in mind is you can only add attachments in from OneDrive, Dropbox, or box.com. So also, I do want to touch on the fact that I believe from the last that I've spoke to IT, we should all be using OneDrive mostly because that is what has been approved by IT. I will say that our OneDrive is a little bit locked down, so it is a little bit unfortunate. So whenever you do add attachments here, it does send them to that attachment, but then it makes them log in if they're not already logged in. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but just, keep that in mind when adding attachments here. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go back in here, shortcut, add a shortcut, but I'm going to do a website. We're going to keep adding this in because why not? Brand website. And then I'm going to put apply, and then let's go ahead and add another shortcut. Let's do another website. Let's do, I don't know if that's going to show right, but let's see. Website, apply. And I mean, you can change it. You can do stacked or you could do side by side. For this, I'll probably just do side by side. I'm going to go ahead and put helpful links. Oh, helpful links in here. maybe I'll do like one other one here. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and go in here. Shortcut, add another shortcut, website. Let's do color palette. So that's the color palette website. Oh, that was wrong. Whoops. Okay, cool. So now I have all my helpful links here. You've added one widget that needs to be set up to save your dashboard. Please. What? Oh. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back into edit so I can kind of move some stuff around here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my helpful links here so people can access those. And let's go to the last one that I'm going to show is the web content. I don't want this to start blasting everybody's speakers.
Jillian, I have a question.
Yeah.
In that helpful links box, how can you rearrange those to be in alphabetical order?
Yeah, of course. Let's go ahead and go into edit. So when you go in here, if you hover over, you'll see these boxes. You can just drag and drop. So you would
Thank you.
add them in, however, you can add them in alphabetical order to start with if you wanted to, but then you can always move them around by dragging and dropping them in. And then so let's say you have a lot of links in here, you don't want to delete the whole widget, right? You can see that it pulls up a little X here. So maybe you didn't need this one or anything anymore. You do have that option to do that. I'm going to mute for a second because I don't want it to start playing a video, but I do want to show you how this works. So just a second.
I guess a random helpful tip or trick. There's times where I may have a dashboard that has a lot of text on it, maybe in one particular text box, and because of how I want it formatted, I might want two different columns. Smartsheet does not, like, it doesn't auto-recognize columns the same way that like Microsoft Word will. So usually once I kind of type out all my text, I may duplicate that widget so then I have two exact copies of my text. And on the first one, I delete out like the second half of information. On the second column, I would delete out the first half of information, and now I can have like two columns side by side. And so sometimes you just have to think in terms of more like graphic design and having to do it manually, as opposed to something like Microsoft Word, where if you tell it to put it in columns, it'll put it in columns. So just as like a quick tidbit there while Jillian was checking that.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go into web content. So you can add content to your dashboard from external sources. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add content, and I'm going to see if this will work. This is just a YouTube video. I'm going to see how that pulls up for me. So it pulled up nicely. So we can throw videos onto our dashboards, which Dina and I will do often because we'll host these trainings and then we'll go and put these on newsletters, dashboards, things like that. So I'm not making this look super nice because we don't have a lot of time for me to rearrange and make things look super pretty. But I did want to walk through all these widgets for you guys. So the last one I'm going to do is the report. So you can pull reports into dashboards and you don't have to publish them or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add report, and I'm going to go to my workspace again, and I'm going to pull that report. It's going to only pull up reports because I can't select my sheet. So I can put my report on here. And then I don't want the Gantt chart on there. There might be reason to have that on there, but I don't want that. You have maximum number of rows to display. You have that there. And then you could remove formatting. So let's say I had some like conditional formatting or something like that in my sheet where maybe some stuff is red if it's like, canceled, or, my on hold is yellow, but maybe I don't want to show any of that on my dashboard. I can remove the formatting easily here. And then I can collapse the grouped report let's see. So you can see it's just showing the totals here. So I don't really want to do that. But you do have the option to do that if you need to. And then kind of the same stuff as the other widgets. So we have title, we have widget behavior. Again, we can make it go to that, open the data source. Let's do that. And then viewer mode, like Dina kind of explained that earlier, which was nice. So this is dashboards. This is everything that you can really do in a dashboard. Well, not everything. I mean, you can always kind of, like Dina said, think outside the box, add stuff in, but these are all of the widgets that you can put on a dashboard. And how you use those is really kind of just whatever you think of, whatever we can add on here, and whatever way we can put it onto our dashboards. But these are all the widgets that we have available to us to put onto dashboards. So really that is pretty much the end of the training. This is everything that we can throw on dashboards, but I did want to see if anybody has any questions about anything that we covered at all in this session.
And I did want to share a use case real quick. So, we have this dashboard or the report that we created. Now, one of the things that Jillian could do, if this is the report we wanted, is to go and have it filter by like the project manager, whoever is the viewer. So, for example, if Jillian were to do that, then we would see all of the projects that are assigned to her, which can be really helpful, right? Especially for something like this, where you have tasks assigned to a particular person. So that's a great filter to use, if that's the type of report we want. So then when we put it on the dashboard, that would be one where we want to change that viewer perspective instead of it being from the last widget editor. Because if I'm logging in, I don't want to see what Jillian's assigned to. I want to see what I'm assigned to. So if it's viewing the report from their perspective, then that means I could see it from my perspective and see all the ones that are assigned to me. So that would be a good use case to use that instead of the last widget editor's perspective. So just as a quick use case example.
I have a question about the rich text widget, and I'm self-taught. This is my first training, so I'm kind of stumbling along, not sure what I'm doing. But I have a rich text widget, and I have information in that box. I've sized it to where you can see all the information that I need you to see in that box. And when I save it, for some reason, I get a bar on the right-hand side that you can go up and down and scroll down, but there's nothing else in the box. It's just a big white empty space. So I need to know how to edit that box so that it doesn't have that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
might
Does that
be
make
that.
sense?
Yeah, it does. It might be that you might have data in there that is kind of blank data, so you might need to go into that widget. So it could be that, let's see, it could be that, like, you formatted stuff, moved stuff around. So if I like hit enter a bunch of times here, let's see if this does it. So then I click
I
save.
did go in and check that while we were in this training because I thought, oh, maybe I put extra advances in there so that it's making it bigger without realizing it. It's not. It's just I go in there to edit and it's the end of the information. And then when I save it, it goes back and it still has that bar on the side to go up and down.
A lot of
And it
times yeah, mine will sometimes do that if I have my box sized just a teeny tiny bit too small. So sometimes to do that, I have to just drag it out like an extra grid line down. Um, and then it'll be good to go. Because I know I do that like all the time whenever I'm making the newsletters. So where, yeah, it's like I it's sized perfectly from my perspective, but Smartsheet still has, it's almost like um, the amount of spacing that's after a line, it recognizes that. And so in that case, it's like, okay, well, we got a scroll bar appearing for you. You're welcome. And that's not what I wanted. So you may just have to make your box a tiny bit longer, and then that should get rid of your scroll bar. Because I mean, I deal with that pretty much
Okay,
anytime making a dashboard.
I tried it. It's not working. It's still there. And it's on two of my boxes. So I'm just not sure what I'm doing here.
Okay. And if you want, we can always, as the training wraps up, we can have you share your screen once we have folks kind of jump off. So to kind of help with that one.
Yeah, does anybody else have any questions?
I know we're a little bit over on time because I keep on interjecting. So if you have any questions, please jump on in or throw it in the chat. Otherwise, everyone have a wonderful afternoon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I'll stick around if you have time.